All right. We're talking about selling 10, 20, and 30 cars per month with predictable consistency. And if you're new in the business and this month is not turning out to be a double-digit month for you, I feel for you. I really, really do. If you're struggling in the business, if you've had a couple of great months in this year, albeit the forecast and the economic forecast was that the car business would be flat. If anything, it would be slightly down, maybe by 4% or so. And that's not happened to you up to this point. You've been flying along and now you're struggling to put the month together. You're cramming everything in. You're working longer hours. You're showing up early, staying late, talking with everybody, surfing the net, finding these free sessions and joining the private members Facebook group. And you really should download the challenge, 10 cars in 10 days challenge like that. That's going to help you instantly. But the bottom line is, if you want the tactics right now to get you over that hurdle, and within the next week of the month that we have left, right? We're looking at today's 23rd, 7 days puts us at the 30th. There is a holiday tucked in there as well. So there's going to be a little bit of possibly grace period for you. The bottom line is that it's the activities that lead to the sale that, in my opinion, is probably what's holding you back. So not only we're talking about selling 10, 20, and 30 vehicles with predictable consistency, we're talking about doing the activities with predictable consistency with every single customer. Here's the problem. Average, ordinary automobile sales trainers don't talk about, they give lip service to, they acknowledge the fact that no two customers are the same, and that you have to be receptive and accommodating for the variety of customers you get, but they really don't tell you what to do with it. I've been facilitating this for years now, for literally tens of years, to literally thousands of students, right? Because I get the great opportunity to teach at the Automotive Business School of Canada, which exposes me to a number of stages that other automobile sales trainers wouldn't be exposed to. But the other part of the equation that really makes it so worthwhile is that I'm still a car dealer to this day. I share the stage with other speakers and influencers in the automotive space that are teaching you how to do social media better. Now the buzzword is artificial intelligence. And I'm not discounting any of that stuff. I teach social media as well. I teach artificial intelligence and how to integrate it into the dealership, and not from a customer-facing perspective. I think that's the biggest mistake that we're currently making. We're all starting to discover that the bot can't do what a person can do as effectively and as well, albeit it seems to be evolving and getting better. It's just not there. It's just so painfully obvious and evident that it's a robot that is trying to communicate with me as opposed to a human being. And when it comes to the second greatest financial decision we make next to buying a house, I think it does require the human component, the human engagement, the ability for them to talk to us as though it's our best friend, it's our family member. And so the activities that lead to the sale are really all about everything that we do in the showroom. So while the activities can be facilitated virtually, meaning over the phone or through email or through a virtual presentation, and I do advocate for that, certainly for those of you manufacturers that are experiencing a high level of demand and a low supply, and I'm thinking of Toyota and BMW and Mercedes-Benz and Cadillac with certain models for them. I'm sure it's happening with all manufacturers of all brands. The bottom line is that we need to get the customer in the showroom. We need to get in front of them. So whether you do this in their driveway or you do it in the showroom, doesn't really matter. But the best part is they can feel your excitement and enthusiasm for the product. Very few people have the ability to do what those like me can, that are spending hours and hours in front of the camera and getting you fired up and charged up. And I get the great compliments on a regular basis. Bill, you're so motivating, you're so encouraging, you're so innovative. It's exciting to watch you. That doesn't happen overnight. First of all, you have to be that type of effervescent personality. So that's something in my DNA that I cannot change. For me to tone myself down and speak quietly and very analytically is possibly difficult for me to do. It really, really is. I just struggle with it. I could practice it, and I'm fully aware of how to do it, and I could get better at it if I needed to, but my audience isn't looking for that. You aren't looking for that. When it comes to helping your buyer make the second greatest financial decision, which I believe is the greatest financial decision of their life right now, there's only one way to do it, and that's your enthusiasm and passion for the product is contagious. You need to bestow that. You need to pass that along. You need to push that on them. You need to breathe it on them, for lack of a better term, because it's only at that point will they make the decision to cut off from driving the vehicle they're currently driving. And again, this is what I don't think. Let me go back to my first statement. So there's two things Average Ordinary Automobile Sales Training is letting you down on right now the most. Number one, they give lip service to and roughly some tactics that maybe worked for them in the past, but there is no science to their definition of no two customers are the same, and this is how you handle it. Dr. Marsden wrote a fantastic little book eons ago, and if you watch the last podcast that I did on this, or the last free training that I did on it, where we talk about the buyer behaviors, and Dr. Marsden wrote that wonderful book, Behaviors of Ordinary People, and this was written eons ago. You talk about fundamental sales training for all industries, not just the automobile business. Everybody could benefit from this. Recognizing no two customers are the same, which means the two customers that you get, a spousal situation, and it could be girlfriend, boyfriend. It could be formally marriage. It could be grandfather and granddaughter. It could be dad and son. It could be dad and mom. Whatever the case is, the two individuals you're dealing with may not speak at the same cadence of each other. As much as they come from that specific family tree, one may speak quickly and the other one may speak slowly. And here's the thing, what we learned from Dr. Marsden, and more importantly, from neurolinguistic sales processing, which was being cultivated and developed at the same time in the very same region of the world in California, and those great thinkers that were being born out of that structure at the universities, all said the same thing, that there is a cadence of speech that we're all very comfortable with, and that decision is made in our subconscious mind. The fact that we like it or we don't. So when we bring that forward to the activities that lead to the sale, if we don't recognize the type of behavior that we've got, we can do an absolutely fantastic 6-position walk around for an hour on a vehicle that a customer may have no interest in at all. And that would be the listener, that we misinterpret their politeness for being interested in what we have to say. More importantly than that, that is the third activity that we do, leading to the 8 activities that sell automobiles with predictable consistency. The first activity is the welcome. And this is where average ordinary automobile sales trainers fail you, is that they really don't know how especially if they haven't sold automobiles very successfully all the way along throughout their career. And more importantly, they're not continuing to do so, which is what I do. Everything I share with you is tried and tested out there on my own showroom floor. So when I recognize that no two buyers are the same, the second part of the equation is, as I take them through the activities that lead to the sale, no two customers want the same walk-around presentation. No two customers want the same interview process. No two customers want the same demonstration drive, and no two customers want the same trade-in appraisal. So where the challenge begins is recognizing the customer that you've got. And this is where average ordinary automobile sales training has let you down, because they tell you to do a great welcome. And the welcome is considered a step. Okay. This is the greeting when they walk in. You don't have to do anything more than, what did you come in and see and drive? And this is where, again, all sales trainers in general, I believe, fail us. And they really don't know what they're talking about, because they say, ask open-ended questions, gets the customer talking. When we get the customer talking, they feel comfortable with the situation that they're in. And that is not true. While the customer's talking and telling us everything, the only truth in that whole statement is that, yeah, people like to talk about themselves. Even the listener likes to talk about themselves, because it's a topic that they're intimately familiar with. When it comes to such a significant financial decision, they want to know that we're very interested in them getting exactly what they would like to have. That can't be disputed. You're absolutely right. However, The purpose of asking an open-ended question, which we're all taught, we have to do all the time, and active listening, the Lord gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. You got to do twice as much listening as talking, is because you need to find out whether they are fast or slow speaking. That's it. That's all there is. That is the secret to selling in general, because that will determine a friendship. If I don't like the way you talk, and that could be vocabulary, that can be language, that can be a language tainted by an accent. So when I go to Quebec in Canada and I attempt to speak French, which I do, I really try to. I wouldn't say that French is my hobby. I learned it in high school because we had to. The first dealership that I had, the first new car franchise I had, was in a predominantly French-speaking place. It wasn't in Quebec. It was in Ontario, but they spoke French first, English second. And so when I go and try and speak it, I will get from some people, speak English, Bill. Just talk to me in English. And it's not because I can't speak French, which admittedly, I am not good at conversational French, which is different than learning a formal language. But I have an accent. I've been told I have a very heavy English Anglophone accent. And I guess to some people, it's frustrating, as would be a French-speaking person who doesn't speak a lot of English, has a very heavy French accent. And I have a very close friend, someone that I have a lot of respect for in the industry. I wouldn't say he has a strong, thick French accent. I can understand him easily and quickly, but he catches himself and he repeats his word over and over again, trying to get the pronunciation correct. And that frustrates me, because not that he can't speak the language, not because I can't understand him, because he speaks slowly, trying to get the pronunciation correct. And as you can imagine, and I may be for you a little bit of a fast speaker, and that is just who I am. I do know enough to slow myself down with that particular individual. And that is the point of what I'm trying to share with you here, that in order for you to have more success selling first visit, especially with customers who say, I'm shopping around and considering all these models. I have no interest in buying today. We're still gathering our research. There's nothing you can do or say that will convince me to buy right now. I'm doing my research. And so all I need from you is best price, availability, color choices. If I want to order, what am I looking at in terms of a delivery time? If you don't consciously recognize that buyer is fast speaking compared to you, and you move yourself up, there's no possible way for you to recognize the facial expression, which now pigeon toes, like I told you about in last session. So go back and review that. If you're watching this through the Facebook members group of the Auto Sales Academy, catch it before the month is up, because every 30 days they're dropping off my last video. So they're not staying there forever in perpetuity. Go over to the Auto Dealership Academy YouTube channel, where you can watch this live right now and get that information there too. And of course, you could review the videos. We're having tremendous success. Our last video last week, I'm shocked, over 600 views already. Made a little bit of money with advertising, which is really impressive. So clearly this is resonating with all of you. This is a challenge for us right now, selling first visit. Customers are shopping around. And that the reason for that is that they know the product that they want. They know they got to get rid of the vehicle they're currently driving. They know where they can buy the vehicle that they would like to go to. And they're still saying, I want to think about it. It's because of you. It's because average ordinary automobile sales training has let you down. And what they told you was that no two customers are the same. They didn't tell you how to fix it. First of all, there's 4 of them, and nobody fits perfectly in that one quadrant of any buyer. And we're not talking about Foursquare. That has nothing to do with Foursquare. It's the 4 different buyer behaviors. So you want to go back and watch that last video, or go to our YouTube channel and look at the one that the previous one to this one that'll be posted by tonight, so that you can review it and make notes on it. And if you feel I'm going really, really fast, then you'll be able to catch up. But when you recognize the cadence of speech, the facial expression that people have, that determines one quarter of the population. Then you just need to mirror and match that. And it all started with, and here's something else I'm changing in the activities, my presentation of the activities that lead to the sale. The first activity is the welcome. The second activity is the interview. In the old days, we called it counsel and qualifying. So many, pardon me, excuse me, I was racing last night, mountain bike racing last night. have an absolute ball with it. They canceled a race last week, which is a bummer because they're not tacking it on to the end of the season and the series. So those of you that know me know that my passion is riding bicycles, and I love racing every week. And I'm racing with a bunch of old guys and my buddies, which is a hoot. We're chasing down the young teenagers, and we can't believe how fast they're going. We were there at one point, I think. Anyhow, when we recognize that in order for us to have better traction with first time, first visit people, mirror and matching the behavior that we've got, and through our welcome and an interview, asking open-ended questions such as, what did you come in to see and drive today? What are you currently driving? And would you think about trading that vehicle into us? Would you like to know what it's worth? Can I share with you how you can trade your vehicle in, save yourself some tax, lower your monthly payment, and make it that much more affordable? All of which cannot be answered with a simple yes, no answer. It's going to, would you like to know how affordable I can make it? Yes. And leave it at that. That would be the perfect customer. That generally doesn't happen. Generally we get, yes, that'd be great. But really what I want to know is, and we're not buying today, what's the difference between leasing and financing? Or what's the difference between a payment of 60 months and 72 months? Or what is the most inexpensive way to buy the vehicle? Or what is the lead time on that particular product? It always comes along with something else. And what you're looking for is the cadence in which they speak. So at the interview, you've been told over and over again to populate your CRM with the name, address, telephone number. And what happens is 99% of the training that you're seeing and watching out on the internet, and this is the reason why you want to consider a discovery call with me and think about joining the Auto Dealership Academy, our system of 3 phases and 9 steps to help you achieve your maximum potential. That be 10 vehicles, 20 vehicles, or 30 vehicle sales per month, or like Melissa and her podcast coming up. She sold 41 vehicles, new mom, 3 children at home, just purchased a new house. Like Max, who's been in the business for a lifetime, 63 vehicles in 1 month. Unbelievable. Like Mike Shanahan, that one's coming up as well. No relationship to the Ford dealership, albeit that he works in a Ford dealership, 40 years in the business. Here's a career pro as well. We'll all tell you exactly the same thing. The welcome and the interview are a blended step. As much as they're broken out separately, the old outdated sales training that 99% of teachers are teaching you on, and this is the reason why you're struggling, is that it was invented pre-internet. When the customer had to come in to find out about the features of the vehicle, get a brochure, find out how much it costs, work at the monthly payments, all pre-internet. When the internet really developed its teeth in the research phase for buyers considering our automobile was when manufacturers recognize the information needs to be monthly payments, lease versus finance, all the features, all the equipment, vehicle locator, where they can go and find their vehicle. And albeit the old adage, those things that make you great create your demise, I believe that there's too much information on there. I think you probably would agree as well. It would be better if we backed it off a little bit so customers had a reason to come into the dealership, because right now, the only reason for them to come in is to get your best price. The only reason for them to want to buy a Dodge vehicle, a Dodge truck with $18,000 off and 72 months at 0% is to find out how much more you'll lower it. If the advertisement reads up to $18,000 off, well, that's what the manufacturer's doing. What can the dealer do for me? And that's the unfortunate part with it. If we just drove that client to the showroom and the salesperson, you were to share with them, if you can make the decision right now, today, on the vehicle that you would like to own and replace that old drooler trade-in that you've got. And remember, you've got to make the trade-in feel that way. That is the point of, in the interview process, talking with the customer about the vehicle they're currently driving. The mistake that we're making in the interview process, and I hope I don't feel like I'm jumping all over the place. I'm still saying in the second activity, the mistake that we've been taught and trained on based on old, outdated, outmoded 1990s selling, because look at the age of the individual that is teaching it to you. Even the guy who's the TikTok specialist, and you know who I'm talking about. The stuff that he's facilitating and talking about is coming out of a manual, maybe like The Road to the Sale, which was written, gosh, I think in the 70s, possibly the 80s at the earliest. The bottom line is that when the customer walks in, all we want to do is help them find the vehicle that they would like to own. I think that's what the seasoned veterans do so perfectly well. I watch them on a routine basis. I'm one of them. That's exactly what I do. So why would I teach you to do something opposite to what is so successful for me? I found out the vehicle that they're looking for. Then I share with them what we're currently advertising it for. And this becomes my matrix. It's not ForBox. It's just my matrix of the interview. It's how my mind thinks. I write it down on a piece of paper like this. And I want to make sure that I'm not presenting a vehicle that is not affordable for the next 3 hours. If we're on the wrong vehicle, let's get on to the right one right out of the gate. That's the product selection. That's what the counsel and qualifying, back in the old days, step and sales process was all about. These are just activities that you need to facilitate to make sure that you're doing the right thing. Then you can talk about the trade appraisal. And the reason why you want to tuck the trade appraisal into there is that to arrive at affordable payments, remember, the affordability factor isn't your decision. You don't decide what's affordable or not. It's the customer's decision. So even if you're taking a vehicle in on trade, there's negative equity. We're rolling that into the new vehicle. The payments now have gone up, double, tripled, or quadrupled. The customer has to agree to that. And that's why I can say with confidence to every shopper that is a buyer, and every single one of them is, that's the reason why they're standing in front of me, can I take your vehicle in on trade, give you some idea of what it would be worth to wind up at affordable payments? And that's where we find out what the payment is at the interview and how many payments they have left. That payment at the interview is critical because that tells us the affordability factor. Even when they've paid it off, ask them, good for you, or at least pat them on the back. Good for you. Not a lot of people have the ability to do that. What was it? And that's how you move forward to, by the way, my name is Bill Harvey. Hand them a business card. The law of reciprocity will then facilitate you getting their name, telephone number, and email address to populate in your CRM. Only once you've talked about the vehicle and the advertised price, that it is affordable. And if we could come up with a price that would make them happy, they would love to own it based on the trade-in that we're taking at the same payment, slightly more, possibly less. We've got to do an appraisal on it first. Would they like to go with it? And in the event that we don't have the vehicle in inventory, or we don't have close to the one to make it most affordable, what's the email address that you check on an hourly basis so that I can be the first one to let you know a pre-owned has arrived or a transport truck has arrived with a bunch of brand new units on it. And I want to be the very first one to get that to you. Not to mention, this time of the year, the manufacturer will put out discounts and incentives, employee pricing, red tag days, checker sales event days, summer sell down. I can't believe nobody in Michigan and in Ontario, no dealer didn't put on a fire sale for all that smoke that we had last week and over the weekend, where it was just like smog out there and that pungent smell of forest fire smoke. Now that the rains have blown through and settled that down, I think the last count I heard 720,000 hectares of Ontario destroyed by fire. That's unbelievable. Northern Ontario, fortunately, nowhere close to where I am, although we could smell the smoke. So what you want to do is gathering that information now tells you that we have a vehicle that we can present, and leveraging what I call the overview, benefit, permission, commitment strategy. Before you transition from your interview straight to a walk around presentation, you want to make sure that that's what the client wants to do. This is where average ordinary automobile training has let you down. This is where your manager may not have the brevity to be able to say to you, not everybody wants a walk around. Start with a demonstration drive, start with a trade appraisal, come back to the walk around, but you got to do all of those activities because that's what builds value in you. That's what the customer's buying. If they say, I want to think about it, I want to look around, that's what they're looking for. The individual that makes the transaction feel so wonderful, seamless, and easy is what will sell more vehicles first visit than any other tricky talk track or program or social media endeavor or AI intervention. The one thing that you can get that is just so incredibly invaluable is the permission from the customer to move on. And that's what we don't do well in all sales industry, but especially in automobile sales, because this is the most significant financial decision that buyers make. Many of our buyers don't ever get a chance to make this kind of financial decision, professionally in work or personally in all their other endeavors. An automobile is the only thing that they buy. They don't buy boats and snowmobiles and motorcycles and negotiate nuclear contracts or government contracts at multi-$100, let alone thousands, let alone tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, let alone millions. That most of our clients don't. And so they really don't know how to negotiate. They don't even know how to buy it. They need to feel like this is the right decision. And so you thank them for coming in, not thanking them for visiting the dealership and welcome to ABC Motors. My name is Bill Harvey. Well, how can I help you? That's a horrible greeting. Greet them with, thanks for choosing us. What did you come in to see and drive today? Get down to business right away so that you can get to a walk around presentation. Now, here's the other thing. Not everybody, and this is going to be possibly counterintuitive. This is possibly going to be contradictory to your OEM training that is coming down the pipe. And my apologies to those of you that could be OEM trainers watching this and offended by it. But remember, I was National Sales Training Manager for Mercedes-Benz, so I'm just as guilty. I was just as guilty of doing it. But now I'm out there on the showroom floor still doing it, still selling. I've recognized that no two customers are the same, which means no two customers want the same walk-around presentation. And the assertive, that dominant buyer who's only concerned about best price, you know who I'm talking about, how they come in and they point blank say, I don't want to see it, I don't want to drive it. You got to get them over to it and at least do a 3-minute drill. You got to get them behind the wheel, at least start the vehicle and feel the rumble or the vibration or no vibration, right? BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Cadillac, Lincoln, Infiniti, Lexus. I think they pride themselves on the fact that their noise, vibration, and harshness is at an unbelievably high level, which that becomes the selling advantage. That becomes what the customer anticipates and expects. Your customer needs to experience that before you can take them to the purchase consultation and finalize the deal. And this is what I just find that as an industry, coming off of the inventory shortage and the high consumer demand, and that is so far behind us now. And we're talking about going on 2 years past that. And I'm talking about everybody being in an inventory shortage and so many buyers lined up to take whatever they can get. We've all moved on from that with respect to some model lines with particular manufacturers that are still constrained and limited and still have the shopper's list. And albeit while it is frustrating, it is really a feather in your cap. It really is magnificent because you can talk to some other brands that have lots of inventory on the ground, lots of inventory coming at them. They're under the pressure like they were before from the manufacturer and from their ownership and from leadership within the dealership. That as we've moved away from that, we've lost sight because it was so wonderful and terrific, let's call it that, to sell to that high demand, low supply situation. We've lost sight on this significant financial decision, which requires salesmanship, requires us to listen, comprehend, restate, not parroting back, but reiterate back to the client specifically what they're looking for, when they would like to have it by, and ensuring that we're on the right track, getting their permission to move forward, getting their permission to do a trade appraisal. Now, we have several dynamite worksheets that just make it so easy. I call my system the manifesto. I call the manifesto biology because it's science and math. And if you want to learn more about it, book a discovery call with me. I will put a link below in the comments. But here's the even better than that. I want to encourage you that if you like what you're hearing and seeing so far, before you make that step of talking to me, and you really want to learn more about how I teach, what I teach, and make it actionable, right? There's one thing, learning more. And I don't think it's really learning more that we're after in today's day and age. It's not what I want. I just went through it, considered doing an $18,000 program, and for a number of reasons have decided not to. But it wasn't more information that I really wanted to learn. It was more actionable. And while they said it would be actionable and they'd hold my hand all the way through it, I do believe that the actions that I need to take, like the actions that you want to take, can be found in our challenge, 10 Cars in 10 Days challenge. I think I would really want to encourage you to, and I'm speaking directly to the members of the Auto Sales Academy live in the group right now, as well as all of you on LinkedIn and YouTube and on Instagram, For those of you on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram, I want to encourage you to go over to the private members Facebook group of the Auto Sales Academy, join the group, and get the 10 days and 10 cars in 10 days challenge, because that's where you see the results materialize. And if you can do that, you can just imagine how much our system of 3 phases and 9 steps will help you get to 20 and 30. The secret is, and your goal should be, because this was not mine. Nobody shared this with me. And quite frankly, I think I struggle with it to this day. Predictable consistency. It's not only sell 10 cars in 10 days. It's not only sell 20 and 30 per month, but predictably and consistently. You look at the high achiever in your store that is doing those kind of numbers. They're probably rather positive and really cheery and easy to talk to, albeit maybe a little bit stressed. And the odd time they feel, it feels like they're a little bit combative and not really as welcoming as you would prefer them to be. But that's natural because they have a lot to do in a very short period of time. They understand the stress, which means there's not enough time in the day to get everything done. And that's just going to carry over. The pile's going to carry over to the next day. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody. My name is Bill Harvey with the Auto Dealership Academy on LinkedIn, YouTube, and on Instagram, the Auto Sales Academy private members Facebook group on Facebook. It is a free group for everybody to join. You must be in the automobile business, the automobile retail business, not the wholesale business, the retail business. So working in a dealership. Please share this with everybody. A high tide raises all ships. So even if they're a competitor, but you know that individual really well and you think to yourself, maybe it could help them do a little bit more. If the whole industry had the same level of professionalism that you are getting out of this, following the same activities, I think automobile sales would be considerably easier because the customer would be fully aware of what it takes to make this financial decision, significant financial decision. And really what we're after is getting them to cut off from driving that trade in and move forward to the new one. And that's how you sell more vehicles first visit every single time. I'll put a link below in the description. If you want to talk to me, you're more than welcome to. Book a discovery call on my calendar. And then, of course, if you want to be a member of the Auto Dealership Academy, of which we had a class this morning at 10 o'clock, and then the interaction afterwards, it's absolutely wonderful and terrific. That is the membership group. Happy to share those details with you and what it costs. You will pay for it in less than 30 days, exactly Dalton, Rebecca, Kelly, Chandler, and Max did in 2 seconds flat. And of course, you'll get everything there that is necessary and current relevant for today, how to leverage AI to the best ability for you so that you can get more done in 4 hours than average ordinary automobile salespeople do in a day, week, month, a year, if ever. You get the social media components so that you can be prospecting in your sleep and you're top of mind with everybody else. You go away on vacation, you come back to 3 deals on the board and you weren't even there. You didn't even know anything about them. And of course, it's all about the experience that you take the client through, negotiating deals on your terms, the closing aberration and how it is different, getting to the utilizing the micro commitments to get to yes. And then of course, prospect harvesting strategies to fill a pipeline. What we've been talking about here is the sales funnel, which is great. We're leveraging the activities that lead to a sale, but that's not the pipeline. The pipeline is the predictable consistency to close at 1 and 3, working towards 1 and 2, like Chandler, Rebecca, Kelly, Dalton, and Max have done. So if you want to know more about it, have a look at my other videos. Go to the Auto Dealership Academy, watch the YouTube videos there, join the Auto Sales Academy and get the 10 cars in 10 day challenge. It's free. I've been writing it for a very long period of time. There's report cards in there. It's colorful. It's animated. It's not just boring worksheets or some Excel spreadsheets that I've seen other programs do. And then let me know what you think in the comments. Please tell me what you think. And there's no other way for me to make it better and help you further. Have a wonderful day, super weekend. We'll resume these classes again in August the 6th. So we are shutting down for retooling, redesigning the studio and our presentation material. So you may see something a little bit different in the classroom. So it's that much more entertaining and informative and a little bit of rest time for me. Some time to get out on the boat and get out biking. Have a wonderful day. Super holiday weekend, civic holiday weekend, at least in Canada for the Canadians. And I think that is the same for our American counterparts. And I will see you all again in August. There'll be lots of reminders to remind you that there won't be a class. So don't worry about that. But I thought I'd let that cat out of the bag right now. And I hope July rounds out to be a fantastic month for it. If you're struggling, go to the Auto Sales Academy private members Facebook group on Facebook, join it, get the 10 cars in 10 days challenge, and maybe that'll help you end your struggle and make July a fantastic month. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye for now.